Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people. Well, welcome to Wisdom Wednesday here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, where we embrace healing, growth, and transformation one episode at a time. I am your host, Nyomi Banks. And as always, I am honored to hold space for you on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Now, this month, we've been diving into mindfulness and presence, learning how to fully engage in our lives to honor our needs and step into the highest version of ourselves. But let's talk about an aspect of mindfulness that we don't always associate with self-love, and that's planning for the future. Now, I know estates planning might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think about self-love, but hear me out. When you create a plan for your legacy, for the ones that you love, for your own peace of mind, you are practicing a powerful form of self-care. You're saying, I matter. My loved one matters. And I want to be intentional about securing our future, which brings me to today's guest, Oscar Vasquez. He is the founder of estate.prep.com, and he's on a mission to shift the way that we think about estate planning and turning it from something that we avoid into something that empowers us. But before I bring Oscar to the stage, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
Hey, it's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, and make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. We're bridging the gap between them all, and we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by me and Dr. Mike, as well as the BTG crew. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to xnaomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you. All right. Well, welcome, Oscar. How are you?
Great. Well, thank you for having me, Nyomi. Once again, thank you for allowing me to come on your podcast and bring awareness to the 68% of homeowners that do not have an estate plan, because I think they just don't know. They just don't know.
No, they don't. They don't. But we're gonna show them today, right?
Yeah. Well, I always tell people that now, after you listen to this podcast, or after you listen, now you'll know. You'll never be able to say you didn't know, and because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Right?
I hear you. Well, let's do this first, Oscar. Let's kind of ground ourselves before we get into the topic,
Okay.
and then we'll let it roll after that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, my listeners, you know how we do it. If you could just close your eyes and get comfortable in a comfortable position right now. All right. Inhale deeply, allowing yourself to become present. Now exhale, releasing any stress or resistance. As you continue to breathe, I want you to visualize security. Not just financial security, but emotional, and energetic security. I want you to see yourself creating a foundation for your future, free of worry and uncertainty. And with each inhale, I want you to welcome in clarity, welcome in confidence, and welcome in self-love. And with each exhale, I want you to let go of fear, let go of doubt, and let go of avoidance. Now repeat silently to yourself, I am worthy of a secure future, and I take care of myself and my loved ones with love and intention. Take one final deep breath in and exhale completely. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes, carrying this intention with you as we dive into today's discussion. All right, my beautiful people, if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, this is something we do every day, Monday through Friday. It just helps ground us before we get into the topic. All right, Oscar, this is a very important topic because people don't really think about this. Like you said, it's avoidance. They avoid it from all costs because you don't want to ever think about you leaving this earth and not leaving anything behind. Or better yet, you feel like you kind of forcing the issue of planning for it. And so it's a fear factor in that, right?
Right. Well, I think there's a couple of misconceptions of why people, I have my own theories on it, but I think the biggest misconception is that it's for the ultra wealthy having an estate plan.
Yeah.
But what most people don't realize that if you own a home, you are wealthy. You are wealthy. You are ahead. You know what? I mean, I just think that because of the world that we live in today, the expectation of what we live and the things that we're supposed to have and how we're supposed to live are different. But I always say that one is having a home is what is probably the biggest asset, but more importantly, it's the things that you'll be able to build memories on. And I think that's probably more than anything else. So the ultra wealthy is not the only people that have it. We all have an estate plan,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have different sorts of values, but some may be monetary, but some may be emotional. And I think spiritual is probably to ground yourself is where it all starts. So
Right. So let's start with this, because I know a lot of people say, well, Nyomi, we're talking about self-love. How are we talking about this? How could we plan this? I know for me, having, children, they are two of them adults and a small one, but I own property, I own businesses and stuff like that. And a lot of times I worry about the future. We worry about the future, which inhales kind of hinder us on taking care of ourselves and with stress like. But for you, when you say it's actually an act of self-love, can you explain and share why you feel that way?
yeah, well, because here's the thing. I think self love. If you say that in itself, it's the peace of mind that comes with it. Because you can't love others until you love yourself, and you can't change anything around you until you change your own personal inner space in you, right? And you can't. And one of the acts, and I get to say this, I get more reviews and talk tos and calls about how they feel so much better at the end of creating their living trust, because we go deep into creating the trust. Now, we are not attorneys. We are a estate planning software that creates living trust for across the country, for every state in the land. Well, 50 states. There's two that we don't. 50 states in the land that is a comprehensive living trust to protect your family and to protect those assets. Now, I say that because we do something completely different than everybody else. We walk you through the actual process. So one, you have no learning curve because we give it to you in bite sizes. By the time the third call is there, you're like, I got this. I know where things are. Let me log in. Boom, boom, boom. Because the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we walk you around, you know where the things are because we do it with you.
Mm-hmm.
We do it with you. So I want to start off with a breaking of understanding what is an estate or a living trust. A living trust is a legal document between you, the parent, it's usually the parents and the kids. And the legal document's called a contract because the courts enforce it if they don't follow the agreement. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's basically a instructions to your kids on what you want to have happen with all the things that you have left behind. They're like, what do you mean all the things? I said, anything you can't take with you, it needs to go in the living trust or give instructions to that matters, right? Everything else, just throw it in the trash or give it away. But the things that matter, you want to give special instructions to on how to make that happen. And the reason why I say that is because every living in every state is the same. If it's a comprehensive living trust, it's about 120 pages and it has all the legal provisions. If you miss a legal provision or a legal thing, there could be tax consequences and there could be other ramifications or it could be pierced. But the my trust, your trust, everybody's trust in Nevada is the same, except our names, our children's names, the instructions, and the things we put in it.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses, some people have them, some don't. If you have a home, and you need to do that. But before we get into what happens, it's do you need a living trust? Here's the thing that I always tell people Google this. Google what is the threshold to be able to go to avoid probate in my state. In California, it's 184.5. In Indiana, it's 50,000. In Utah, it's 100, and in Colorado, it's 60. Every state has a minimum. That means if you have a minimum, that means bank accounts, cars, retirement, homes, home, anything of value, your business. I mean, there, it's amazing what a business value is when it generates income.
Right.
So if you own a small business, you should get it evaluated. Know what it costs because if it exceeds it, and those are the things that one require. That's a mandatory because you don't want to go to probate because probate is one of the most awful things. I'll tell you, when I got started, I've been in the real estate industry. I'm a licensed real estate broker in Southern California. I've been in real estate for over 28 years, and I've been helping homeowners or educate homeowners to avoid probate. And the reason why is that I started to get customers, kids, or hey, Oscar, mom died a few months ago, and we wanted to refinance the house, and we don't even have access to it. We got to go to probate. The attorney says it's $80,000 to sell the 1.2 million or to go to probate on mom's house, and he said not to worry that we could pay him when we sell the house. So the kids may have to liquidate if you don't have a living trust. They may have to liquidate the family home. For some people, it may not be important because the kids are older, they're out of the home, and they don't live there. In our community, there's a lot of us that live at home or that we bring in the family. So that could be something that was devastating. So the first thing that happens is that you need to hire an attorney, and that cost can be up to 6 to 8%. That's
Yeah.
the first thing that happens. The second thing that happens if you don't have a living trust, and it's super important that you understand, is that it becomes public knowledge. And public knowledge means that the courts publish and they say, you know what? Oscar died. He left these properties and this much money. If you feel he owes you money, come forward,
Mm.
right? And if you feel that you're a benefit that you should benefit from, you should be a inheritance. You should be a benefactor or beneficiary from this. come forward and file your claims, right? That's two major problems.
Yeah.
One is that who wants their business out there published? One. Two, there's a potential for scammers to be able to make that happen, to be able to file a false claim. And if it's a multi-million-dollar estate, or even if it's just a home in South Carolina, it doesn't matter. Somebody could file a $3,000 claim, and the attorney's going to charge you $5,000 to fight it. So one, it becomes public. If you're okay with that, that's good. The third thing that happens is the judge makes the final decision on what happens to your stuff. That's right, the judge. And now, if you guys ever been to traffic court or any kind of court, you'll see that the stack of cases they have, it's a numbers, right? And who has this? Who do we give? Great. That has the potential for a accidental disinheritance, right? You could be one of your kids, somebody, a loved one, or an organization could be disinherited by accident if they didn't get put in, or the judge didn't see it, or for whatever reason. So the judge makes the final decision on your things. The last two things, one is there's major tax, could be, depending on your financial, but there could be tax consequences, capital gains, inheritance tax, so on and so forth, if you don't have a living trust. And the last thing is your kids have to wait anywhere from 18 to 24 months to get access to the money. That is just, I mean, if the kids, I don't know, they're just my kids, but man, my kids are little slow boomers. I mean, they're 32 and they come and go out of the house. It's like, what? I mean, I was 18, I was gone, I was independent. What the heck happened to you guys? Where did I go wrong? But then I found out it's the generation. So, but those are the things that happen if you don't have a living trust. And this is, now that you know what happens, getting a living trust is, if you own a home and you meet the threshold, it's something to be considered, right? It's something to be considered and done, because now you know what happens. And it doesn't happen to us because we'll be gone.
Yeah.
It's going to happen to our loved ones.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, people always go, man, you work so much. I said, but it's not work to me because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I do it. My biggest why is to have my family live how most people only dream.
Yeah.
To be able to go have that great meal. I mean, the kids always give me a hard time. They're like, why do you always bring us to good restaurants and you're always turning off the lights? Do we have money or not have money? I said, no, it's about conserving it, son. Right? It's not about that. And I said, so we can get what we want. I said, yeah, when I invite you, I already know I'm going to pay. Okay. Yeah. You don't come to my table and ask if you can order. No, you eat whatever you want. But I'm like that, right? I walk in and, I have 13 TVs on. I got out. What? Why do we have all these TVs on? I mean, they're like, we got solar. I said, no, we ain't got solar. I got solar. but yeah, those are the things that happen.
Thank you for sharing that. So this is my question here. Because it's so foreign to, you say 69, I say about 80, 90% of the world. It truly is not known to them that they can truly be able to secure their future in their legacy in that form. Like you said, it's more of a wealthy, a rich thing that people don't understand, that the property that you have, the little things, whether it's whatever it is, it can be put into a living trust, even for the future. And you shared the story about, a family member or something like that. I very well much went through that with family members as well, that actually the state had took their whole thing. And so they were not left with anything, because back then, that generation then, they didn't understand that. They all thought that they didn't have enough money to leave a will, or they wasn't worthy of leaving a will. Mm-hmm. And so they had a house that was just sitting there that no one could get to. And the person who was living in that home, they were the ones who kind of took over, the payments and stuff like that. But when really state comes in, they just took it away. They just took everything. It's like, well, who
Yeah.
was supposed to live here? Such and such and such. And going through battling things like that, it gets like so overwhelming. So let me ask you this, because even knowing what you said before can be very scary. How can we get our listeners out of that? Well, we're not to be scared, to know, like, look, if
Well,
anything, this is a movement forward of securing your legacy. How can we
right.
get our listeners there?
Well, here's it's first understanding why I think we don't do things. One, we don't do it because it could be complicated. And here's how we do it, because we have a done with you service. And not knowing, it's like it's a software. Now I gotta go learn one. It's like, I mean, imagine getting a new phone. I mean, the first 5 days of a new phone is like, OMG, now where did they move the button? It was here, right? What we do is we take all of the stress out of it, because we take a first 10, 15, 45-minute call. We do 3 or 4 with you. I mean, there's been elderly people that are not as computer literate. We've had like 10 calls, but it's part of the service, right? We work with you until you got it. One, the misconception of not having an estate plan is that it's so complicated because you're asked questions you never thought about, what's going to happen and what you want to have happen, right? One. Two, another misconception is because of the attorney fees now are anywhere from the lowest I've started to see now is $4,000 all the way up to $10,000 to create an estate plan. And the attorneys don't have no payment plans, right? And those of us that are growing businesses or living it or investing in ourselves to become better, right? Um, which is the best investment, I believe,
Yeah.
to be able to do that. It's a $5,000 to $10,000 upfront cost, right? So one is the cost. The third is that it can become a complicated process of putting all the things in, because attorneys, what they do is they give you a piece of paper and they go, here's 9 pages, go fund your trust. I'm like, you don't do that? No, we don't do that. We create trust, you fund it. Here's a 9-page document. We walk you through the entire process. So we always tell people this, that if you can answer, they like, how long does it take? If you can answer all the questions in our consultation from start to finish in 45 minutes, no one's ever done it, because husband and wife, there's these magical questions like, what do you want to have happen when you die? Do you want your wife to be able to make changes to the trust, like change the beneficiaries? The wife's the first to respond. No, he ain't gonna change nothing, because he's gonna go marry somebody. I'm like 10 minutes after I'm dead, he's gonna go pick somebody, and then that woman's not gonna like my kids, and they're gonna disinherit my kids. No, that ain't happening. The man's are like, what? We're not even dead. What's going on? But those are deep questions, right? Those are deep questions, and people like, well, I don't know whether, and I tell them this. I said, here's what happens. Like, so that's homework. That's the first thing, and then we always say, when the kids get older, do you want to leave your stuff to your grandkids, or do you want your son-in-law or your daughter-in-law to get the assets if your son or daughter leave before you?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to put that in the living trust ahead of time. And they're like, well, I mean, they're like 12. I said, okay, but someday they're going to be there, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get married. We want them to have a lifetime partner. We want them to enjoy their lives and have that and be able to build that. And those are the small elements where we share, this is a story that happened. Like, we never used to put that provision in about to skip the son-in-law or the son-in-law or the daughter-in-law, until we had a couple that went to a mother and daughter went to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, got in a car accident. Dad calls me and says, hey, Oscar, Julian Julian Shauna passed, and I want to make sure that I update my trust because I don't want my son-in-law to get all the money, all Julie's money. I wanted to sit in the trust but my grandkids, I want them to have a drip, some money, so they can have it, so they can remember their mother. But I don't want him to have it. I said, okay, fine, let's get it. He came. I printed it out for him because he was like 82 years old, and can you just do this? It's one of them guys, right? Just everything's from phone. He never wanted to do anything on the internet. He had to come and see me, right? He'd drive an hour just to see me for 5 minutes. That's just the way it was. But Mr. Becerra said, I'll do it. I'm gonna go see my sister in Texas. He never came home. He passed. He got a heart attack out there, and now his son-in-law get that, and because of that, we convinced the engineers and they paid the attorney, so we can now put that provision in there now. You don't have to wait for the future. But those are the small things that happen, and we say, look, he's from our city where it is, and he drives around in like $150,000 truck and a toy hauler and all the toys. He inherited a large sum of real estate and retirement accounts, so to speak, because he only had 2 kids, his daughter and his son, and he got 50% of it. And
Wow.
It was a sad thing, but it could have been worse because they could have all paid taxes. And they could have got there, but he had a living trust. But those are small provisions and things that we don't think of that bring us peace of mind. And and it was like, here's one thing I always tell people: when you create a living trust, if the younger you are, the thicker it's going to be because you're adding all these things. You're like saying, you know what? I want my business. Like, we had a baker, he was a baker, and we started that maybe 5-6 years ago. He just passed away, but he had a key person insurance policy. But he went out and he goes, what do I do? I go, well, you should get your kids involved if that's what you want. They don't want to do nothing. These guys, they just want to come in and ask for money. So he got a key person insurance. This is an amazing story. And I always say Pedro he's probably flipping in his grave like, nobody wanted to help me. No, because he was so demanding, his kids were intimidated. But he left a $1.8 million insurance policy to grow the business. And the policy said it was only to grow the business, to find somebody to work the business. The grandkids and the kids ended up taking the money. Now they have a factory, a bakery factory in Los Angeles. They have like 27 vans. It's a thriving business. And they decided to say, hey, because we could only use the money for the business, we might as well all come and work and get paid, right?
Right.
And they made it a thriving business. And I was thinking, man, and he was in this small little bakery, and he would always complain that his kids didn't want to help. And every time I talk to the kids, I talk to them quite often. I do their retirement plans and help them with the real estate. And I said, you know what? Why didn't it? He goes, Grandpa was great, but he was pretty demanding, man. You know how he was. He was tough on us, and it was like a no thing. But at the end of the day, he left a legacy that'll live forever. That bakery will live forever. It's. Well, I don't know how they're doing now with all the eggs costs, but that's a major factor in their business. They buy eggs by the truckload.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that goes to tell you what that does.
Right. So I know my listeners are like, okay, so what he is saying now, and I like that you even put the story on with the older man and the 1.8 million that he put into, for his family business for that.
Yeah.
So, and I like the way that you broke it down. And that's the thing, because we don't think about those little things. Yeah, we don't think about those little things. So I know it's something that we do here on the Season of Self-Love, that we try to stay in the present and not go so far in the future. But I want to remind you all that even when we're talking about the future and building, creating our legacy, this is a part of the present moment, because right now is that when we know the knowledge, we got the knowledge now to be able to do that, to prepare for that future for our kids, for our generation. So even in the process of us going through this self-love journey, this self-care journey, all of these things, this will help to minimize the stress going forward, if that makes sense to you all. I want to just make sure that when we're talking about this, that we can still keep the core of the self-love, the self-discovery in here, and understanding of what it means to us. Because at the end of the day, finances are one of the biggest reasons of why stress and why people die of it. Let's be honest, when we have
Yeah.
to be honest with that. And any of us that do have children or grandchildren that's out there in the world, one of the biggest things is our concern about their future when we are no longer on this earth. And so that is a part of our self-love. That is a part of our self-care. That's a part of our self-discovery. We talk about minimizing our stress, minimizing our concern, minimizing things that we have no control of. When we at this point in time and we're being taught that we can have control over this right now, why not do that right now in this present moment? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that reminds me of, I've been around with so many families where they go, man, because I always tell them when they get it, you get a trustee responsibility. And the guy's like, I gotta give them copies. I said, yeah, everybody that's named in there needs to be named. And I'm gonna tell you guys something. When you name somebody in your trust and you give them even something as minute as this shelf shaker or as an album or a picture frame or for whatever things that you've given, when I've seen that, when I've been at readings, and they did that, I'm going to tell you the emotions that come through there that you just thought of them. And I remember, like, man, I remember when she wrote that in and how much thought she put into it. And she goes, I really want this to do. How do I put this in there? And when you do that, I want them to know that. And I'm like, when you read it and you see them, and then you could see, like, I don't know, I don't want to get spiritual, but you could see like
We're spiritual.
This
Mhm.
Holy Spirit, like just go like crash, and then like they feel it, like they're like, man, Grandma left that for me. It was like they would just, and it was. I think it's that one moment where you go like, dude, this is amazing to be able to have that experience, right? And I say that I call it the Holy Spirit. I believe in Christ and I believe in the higher power and I believe in that. But when you see somebody read that and they leave that thing that she goes, I don't know if I want to do it. And I said, listen, let me ask you a question. Is it important to you? And she said, yeah. I said, then do it. It costs nothing extra. If this is your trust, you should write it down. Give it to them. Give them that. Like we had one teacher say that they're going to leave a portion to their kids, and then they wanted some money to be left over for college for their grandkids. That money that she left was only at that time was only like $10,000. Right now, their kids are like 15, and
Mhm.
it's almost like $80,000 now.
Mm.
And she was like, "It's only 10,000. Is that enough?" I said, "Listen, if it's $10 and you want to leave it, then you leave them that portion to your grandkids."
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, "Why?" She goes, "You know what? Her beliefs were that you live on when people talk about you and say your name." She goes, "I want my grandkids to know my name.
Mm.
That's the main. I want them to remember Grandma, and I thought of them. They may not remember me, but I want them to know that I remembered them." And I was like, wow, those are some. I didn't see their reaction on that, but when you have those conversations with people, I like telling people, man, that's the not only forget the monetary, it's the emotional impact that you make that can change the trajectory of your life, not of the financial, but that could bring the family even closer
Yeah.
because because I mean grandmas and moms, that's what they do is they put people together, right? That's
Yeah.
what I mean. When before my mom passed, Sundays, that's where it was. It didn't matter where we were. We were at mom's. That's
Right.
what we did. So
Right.
I share that with you, and it's a simple process. You need to have it, and you do it. And here's the thing: I always tell people, like, well, what benefits do I get? I said, well, I'm gonna tell you. You get the biggest benefit of all, which is peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there, I said, you could not have any, knowing that your kids are set up and they're protected.
Yeah.
They're not going to have to pay taxes. They're not going to pay the attorney. The day you pass, the next day they get their inheritance. I mean, or whenever they do. Some people hold 10 days. They mourn. They go through that process, and they're going to have that peace of mind becomes through. And I said, when you're done, if you don't feel that you feel more at peace, then I will pay for your trust. I will pay for your trust. I said, do you feel at peace? She goes, yeah. Yeah, but you can still give me the money. No, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna give that to you. But anyways, that's I can tell you that about the experience. And the most important thing is the biggest benefit that you have is knowing that you protected your family, your legacy. And I always, I say it jokingly, but I think it's the two closest things to your heart
Yeah.
is your money and your kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
That,
And
that's the true statement. Is a very true statement. And I like how you said, even breaking the story up about the grandmother and about her, deciding when we're doing this, and you have to really think about this. A lot of times we go in wanting to break generational curses. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yes, breaking generational curse. And this is one way to start doing that, by being able to have a connection with your generation. If I leave this right here for my kids, my grandkids, and my great grandkids, do you know how much of a connection that is to everyone? I honestly, I wished and pray that that would have happened for me and my family, because there is no connection in that way, that it can be
yeah,
even leaving a Bible. You understand what I'm saying? Or even
yeah,
something like that stay connected through it all. So it's not only just a financial thing, this is an emotional, generational, spiritual connection that you will have for the rest of your life with anybody that has been born through your bloodline, and even someone that you've adopted that came into your family. So it's more than just a financial thing when we talk about legacy. And I want to just make that sure. So let me ask this, because we getting close to the end.
okay.
For anybody that wants to say, all right, Oscar, I'm buying what you selling. How do I get started? How do
Okay,
I
there's three ways, but before I say that, I want to just you said something that hit, and I want to share this. That you listen, we are probably the ones that are listening to this are the chosen ones to change our legacy and our future, our generation.
yeah.
We have that. We didn't get that because they weren't chosen to do that for us. And because we're listening and we've been blessed, that people go, dude, you're so lucky. I said, no, man, I am blessed. Lucky not. But I share that with you. So as you said that, so because somebody planted a tree yesterday, or somebody's sitting in the shade today,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
that could happen to your family. So do something about it. So how do you do it? I want to give you three gifts. One, I want to give you a phone number. If you have a estate planning issue, you can feel free to call the estate planning. You can call the estate planning AI, and I'll send that to you. Um, and then I'm going to give that. It's 1-805-909-4689 is the phone number. The second gift I want to give everybody is a comprehensive estate guide. And the reason why I give this guide out, even when you come to workshops, because this takes away the human element of delay. Because there's questions on there that you never thought of that you should go in. So you can download that at estate.prep/guide, and it's a free download. The second and the third thing is that I want to give you a discount code for the first 10 people. You get a discount code, the first 10 people that want to take advantage of this. It's going to be self-love is a discount code. You're going to save $1,000. That means you're going to be able to have a living trust for the rest of your life for $1,495. It's $1,000 off of our website, but it's only for the first 10 people. And I do that because if we can help save, and if you need payments, just call me. I'll work on a payment plan. I'm all about that. I mean, we've been blessed enough to be able to do that, and we've done that. And I want to give these gifts to you, knowing this, guys. Yesterday will never come back. Tomorrow's not promised. Today is the day that you have to take action.
Yeah.
And if you knew for sure that probate and creating a living trust was going to be more tomorrow, why not do it today?
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for that. All right, family. So what's one step that you can take this week that's towards securing your future? Maybe it's starting a conversation with your family and researching estate planning, or just writing down your wishes. I want to hear from you. I want you to tag me at the Season of Self-Love podcast, and even Oscar. What is your
Estate.prep. Estate.prep. I'm under the business name. I do that with the state.prep. I answer all of those and Instagram is estate.prep.
Beautiful. And hashtag legacy love. Hashtag legacy love.
Legacy love.
Your thoughts. Yes. You know what, Oscar? This conversation was so needed. It was so right on time for me. It really was. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
You know, we all have it. If you're a homeowner, you got to have it. If you have we didn't get a chance to talk about special needs children, but you got to have it. Reach out. I mean, just, get informed. Don't be uninformed. But now that you know what happens in probate, now it's up to you to do something about it.
Yeah, I love that. Where can our people connect with you at?
You can connect with us on Facebook and we're on all the social medias as estate.prep. Estate like estate planning, doc like document, and prep like preparation.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Again, thank you, Oscar. This has been an amazing conversation. Much, much needed. Much, much needed. And to my listeners right here, I want to thank you all for just tuning in. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe and leave a review and share with someone who needs it, because your legacy does matter. It truly does matter. And until next time, I want you to keep showing up for yourself. All right. Have an amazing day. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today, and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer. Have a good day.